Today we are reviewing The Exorcism starring Russel Crowe, not to be confused with The Pope's Exorcist also starring Russel Crowe, so stick around to hear our thoughts. Attention all actors. We are currently in the casting process for a new horror movie and we need someone to play our lead exorcist. I should probably mention that the past few people that we cast for this role died in disturbing and inexplicable ways, but I'm sure you'll be fine. Try out today.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes. Taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo being pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. I'm Max Allen, officially a dad now, so my new nickname on the show will be Daddy, and that is non-negotiable. With me is the beautiful, graceful, and intelligent Bryce Hansen and Sydney. We review a different horror movie each week. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. The full video is available on YouTube, so don't be a square. Make sure to share.
Can I just take a second right here? Please, if you have not, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We are tanking in the rankings, and it's really reflective of the reviews that we get, either the lack of reviews or not 5-star reviews. I'm not, begging for 5-star reviews. I'm begging for just reviews in general, but, why leave a review if it's not 5 stars? I'll just leave that rhetorical question out there.
Have we gotten any negative reviews lately?
The last review we got was June 5th on Apple Podcasts, and it says, "Love the podcast, been listening for over 1 year. Thank you. My only gripe is that the audio levels are all over the place. The discussion volume is fairly low, and the ads are much higher volume. Maybe look into that issue. Otherwise, you guys rock. Very funny." So, that's
we had a couple episodes in the old editing format, and that affected that. I think the recent ones are better. And then the one before that was from Great Britain, which is okay, and then 3 stars. This is an odd show, especially with the main host now joined by his teenage friends.
Yeah, no, that is a golden review.
I don't even see that one.
Here, I'll read the whole thing. They seem eager to please, keeping stum while he says creepy things. I don't know what stum is. Maybe it's just teething issues, but it does lead to a few cringe moments. Wish the show was more serious, as it sounds a bit too lackadaisical. Not saying it is, it's just how it's coming across. So,
our show is lackadaisical.
That's the point.
Yeah, I mean we're down to like 4.4.
That's really not
average
bad.
reviews, which is pretty low. I mean, it makes me sad. So want more 5-star reviews. Anyways, we can move on. Enough complaining about Apple Podcast reviews.
Alrighty. Let's move on. Also check out patreon.com/horrormovietalk, the equivalent of the adult section of your video rental store. If you want to add your P to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. We've got a great show for you today. We will be reviewing The Exorcism. It's The Exorcism, not The Exorcist.
Not the Pope's Exorcist.
Or The Pope's Exorcist.
We did that too.
Or Exorcist Believer. It's none of those. It's The Exorcism. So make
it's
sure
not
you
the
get
exorcism
it right.
of Emily Rose. It's not the last exorcism. It's The Exorcism.
It's just one of them.
I think they're really running out of names for these Exorcist movies. They're really struggling. And this one doesn't even make any sense because there's no exorcism in this movie. Okay, let's move on. We'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we will be playing a game very similar to the game we played last week, only with Exorcist movies. We are going to play Rotten versus Fresh Exorcisms. So
Nice.
I'm going to put 2 Exorcist movies to you guys, and you got to tell me which one has the higher score on Rotten Tomatoes. And we'll see if Bryce or Sydney is the smarter person. All right, let's get into the review.
Max waiting for reactions. No, we're just going to make you carry this whole episode, Max.
That's okay.
We're going to let you do all of the lifting.
Well, now that I'm daddy, I can I do a lot of it. Look at my shirt. It says Cool Dad's Club, which is what I'm a part of. The Exorcism can be found in theaters now. My synopsis of the movie is that The Exorcism is about Father Gabriel Amorth, played by Russell Crowe, who... Wait, no, sorry, that's the Pope's
not right.
Exorcist. I keep getting them confused. Why is Russell Crowe in so many exorcism movies? The Exorcism is really about Anthony or Tony, played by Russell Crowe, who is a washed-up actor who tries out for a leading role in an upcoming exorcism movie while attempting to overcome his serious drinking problem. With the loss of his wife, Tony sends his teenage daughter Lee to a Catholic boarding school, but when she is kicked out for, in her words, protesting, but in the words of the law, vandalism, she returns home and the reunion is tense. When Tony lands the role as the Exorcist in the new emotional drama in the format of a horror movie, weird things start to happen on and off set. Will Tony survive the making of this movie? Will his family survive his alcoholism? Will Russell Crowe be in another Exorcism movie next year? Who's to say?
I think the answer is yes, because I think they just greenlit the Pope's Exorcist sequel.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. It's just gonna every
So,
single year he's like, I
He
gotta
is just
do a
killing it.
possession movie right now.
I mean,
he
I
must like it.
like it. I like Russell Crowe just being in genre movies. Like, he's a great actor and he brings a lot to it. He's not like washed up at all. But yeah, he's doing these fun movies, which I don't know. It's probably my favorite part of this movie, really.
No, I kind of agree with that. In fact, let's get into my review. My review of The Exorcism is that it is pretty much exactly what I expected it to be. It's a Catholic horror movie about a demon who needs to be exorcised. The scares aren't that interesting, and some of the jump scares are so loud and quick cut, I literally didn't even know what was happening. It was just startling and gave me zero information about what was actually going on in the film. Russell Crowe's acting was actually pretty good, in my opinion, but I think his voice is so deep and gravelly that it could just be I enjoyed listening to him talk. Either way, he was pretty good. The other star of the movie for me was the director, played by Adam Goldberg, who delivers both the funniest lines in the movie and some of the most emotionally brutal lines. The rest of the cast is kind of whatever to me. My favorite part of the movie was how it demonstrated the exploitation of trauma in the film industry, which was pretty sad to watch. My least favorite parts were anything dealing with the demon, because I didn't even really get what was happening or why. Maybe this really was a drama cloaked as a horror movie after all. Either way, I give it a score of 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sydney.
Do you want? Okay. So, I haven't watched a movie, no joke, in 3 weeks to a month. Whenever the last time we watched a movie was all together, because I haven't recorded in a couple weeks. I have not watched a movie, so I was like, I'm gonna watch a movie today. I'm gonna go to the movies, and I was hopeful. I didn't even really know what it was about, and I liked the first third of the movie. I was like really excited for the premise. I thought it was fun the way that it was like the story was being told, and I wasn't having a bad time. And then I was like, okay, this all depends on how they wrap everything up in like the second part and the third part. And I was just a little disappointed. I was a little confused. It seemed like they cut scenes out, but I don't know if that's the case. It could have just been like, oh, they want it to be ambiguous, but ambiguity is only good when like you understand what's going on to a point. And I just thought that like this would have been really good if it was just a drama or just a horror movie, because the way they intertwined those two, I didn't think it worked. And the old lady that I befriended in the theater, I don't want to call her an old lady, I'm sorry, her name is Gloria. She's probably going to listen to this because she made me send her a link to our podcast, and so I hope she's listening. You were wonderful.
The beautiful young woman sitting next to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But she was an older woman. But she
Stop saying old woman.
We were
You're being so mean to your new friend, Sydney.
My brain is not working. But when we walked out of the theater, I looked at her and I just kind of shrugged, and she also shrugged, and I was like, it was all right. She was like, it wasn't that good. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, send me a link. But yeah, so I also give it a 4 out of 10. I honestly was going to give it a 6 at the first third of the movie. I was really excited for it, and then it just kind of went in a weird way. Also, like, a father-daughter relationship movie right now was like so fucking hard to watch. I was like, and she had short fucking hair. Are you fucking joking? Oh my god. Like, but I guess I was gonna wait till the after pod, but for context, everyone, I haven't been recording the past couple of weeks because my father passed away a couple weeks ago. He lost his battle with fucking stupid cancer. So, this if you just lost your father and you have short blonde hair, don't watch this movie.
It's a bad combo.
Bad combo, but 4 out of 10.
I really like this movie. I almost was going to give it an 8. But I think you guys convinced me to move it down to a 7.
Goodness.
I got to say, it's not without its flaws. Yeah, definitely the horror part of it, and like the explaining the exorcism or like the possession stuff was, pretty thin and lacking. But honestly, like, that's kind of like the cookie cutter Exorcist movie stuff that I just don't care about. And if you look at like The Exorcist, they don't really explain it much other than, she was toying around with a Ouija board. And like there was more of a build up. And this one, they skip all the build up and just say like, the set is being possessed and possesses actors in the set. Deal with it. But I gotta say, like, I enjoyed it because it was not a cookie cutter exorcism movie. Like, it's so easy to have the Exorcist template and have like the lead up to it, and people don't know what's going on, and you bring in experts and that doesn't help, and then you bring in a priest and the priest doesn't want to. They say like, oh, the exorcisms haven't been done in so long, and like you could write an exorcism movie easily, and people have. There's just swaths of them. And this one kind of breaks the mold. It's much more focused on the interpersonal drama and like the character of Russel Crowe. What's his name?
Tony.
And like Russell Crowe like makes it really interesting, has a lot of gravitas with the character, and he's like a schlub down on his luck, like he's like thrown away his life and his career because of his alcohol and drug abuse, and is just probably about a year sober. I think it refers to like a year ago he was in rehab. So this is his first step back, and like all that is very believable of the premise of like kind of a washed up actor getting another chance in kind of a shitty movie. You know, it's not the movie within the movie is the cookie cutter exorcism movie. Like
they're remaking The Exorcist. That's the implication, right?
well, yeah,
they call it Georgetown.
Yeah, there's a definite big wink to the camera that it's a reboot of The Exorcist, which is interesting because I feel like this film almost, like, I would not be surprised if this was originally an attempt to do a reboot of the Exorcist franchise, because it works really well as that. But anyways, it's not. They even mentioned The Exorcist in the movie as a horror film that, you know, deals with spooky stuff. But yeah, in terms of like all the horror elements and like the actual possession and stuff, like that takes like the way back seat in this film, and I'm fine with that. Like that's honestly kind of the least interesting part of these movies to me.
I wouldn't even say that it takes the back seat. I think it's front and center. It's just not given any, like they don't spend any time talking about it. Like it's odd almost, because there is this supernatural thing going on set, but no one cares why or is like curious about it. It's very weird. And I think it would have been really easy to, because like there's like, you know, people tell stories of like on what am I trying to say? On set for The Exorcist or on set for Poltergeist, like there were these like creepy things going on, and I think if they had just like mentioned that and been like, oh, this is kind of like that, and like
They did.
They did mention that.
They did say that.
They specifically mentioned that.
I'm cutting this part out.
Okay. But
yeah, I think so here's the thing, like, yeah, valid points, and yeah, Sydney, I agree, there's probably felt like there was a couple scenes that were missing, especially after like Tony does like a demon back flip thing,
Yeah.
and like
and everyone's just
kinda,
going, ah!
yeah, they're freaking the fuck out and running around. But then no mention of that whatsoever after that point.
They just
They're
keep
just like,
fucking doing the movie.
I think that they fire him after that point, right?
Do they?
And it's like, I guess he's drinking again. Anywho, but yeah, I mean, I think like the major thing for me was like, it felt like the movie was more of a had a lot more symbolism or about personal demons and like trauma, and I think it did a pretty good job of doing that, where it's like Tony is dealing with a lot. That's kind of the moral to the story, and that's like what is the more important part of the plot, is like this struggle internally in Tony, and this like possession is really just like a metaphorical expression of that, and yeah, I mean, I think it does that relatively well. I really enjoyed it. Like I think the acting's great. The horror parts of it, like my main beef is like all of the parts where it's the lights flickering on and off and walking through dark halls and slowly walking through the set or walking downstairs. Like that's just like yawn, you know, like that part is the most boring. So like to say that, you know, they didn't explain or go through it, all that stuff is also kind of going through the motions of a horror movie, which is the most boring part. Like it would have been just more of that, I feel, of like we got to go to the library and look at these books with pictures of demons in it.
I definitely get what you're saying. Like that would have been bad, but I also just think you can't just be like, the premise is that the set is haunted, deal with it, and like have no one do anything about it.
Well, you can tell the dog is evil because he's got real shifty eyes. Like, that's enough. Like, you get it. You know, it's communicated. There's even, they even mention the demon. Moloch and like all the stuff.
There's like a picture of him too.
Yeah.
Like we saw that twice, but like it didn't matter what the demon was though. Like that's the thing. And like they did have a couple scenes where like the priest was like looking through a book and like reading about about Malik or whatever. And I was just like, well, okay, but this is so far into the movie that I don't care what it is anymore. Like, we've already seen a bunch of shit happen. So it's like, why are you even, like, what was the, like, I was looking
would have been nice to have like some kind of ancient artifact and be like, oh yeah, this side table
here.
we got from ancient Babylonia. And, some people have said it was haunted, but we got it on the cheap, so whatever.
Well, I just want to say that the average score on Letterboxd is 1.9 stars, and all of the reviews that I'm seeing are like 1 to 2 stars. And there's one that says, the first third was good. I was actually pretty into it. Then I have no idea what the fuck happened. If I had to guess, they were going to be sued by the folks that own the Exorcist rights and needed to cut 40 minutes or so of the movie, that it was necessary to have the movie make sense. So that was kind of how I felt.
Whatever. I'll die on this hill. I liked this movie. I thought it was a good movie.
That's fine.
It was satisfying. Had great performances.
Was it worth the ticket you got after the show?
Max. We'll talk about it on the afterpod.
Okay.
I got a ticket for running a red light.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I'm sorry I'm cooler than you, Max. Don't take it out on me.
No, you are cool. I texted you that I thought it was badass, but
yeah. You guys
we
were talking about how I liked it on text, and you guys were like, whatever. I'm like, you guys are just lame.
And
then
you're
you guys
texting
go
while
on,
driving over the speed limit.
You go
through
on
a red
to
light.
explain how exciting your life is by talking about how you're both like listening to a 4-hour podcast or like audiobook.
I was watching a 4-hour YouTube video. I was 2 hours in with my boyfriend passed out next to me on the couch.
I'm like, I'm on the highway to the danger zone. I just got a red light ticket, and you know.
It was like 1:30 in the
I
morning.
was Green Mile in my bed.
So do you want to trust the opinion of these two lame wads, or do you want to trust the opinion of the cool guy that gets speeding or red light tickets?
I've been pulled over 6 times in my life, so
Not the flex you think it is.
I was speeding 4 of those times. I was going 90 and a 45. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Jeez. Okay,
I would have got away with it if I didn't run over those kids.
If you're listening to these commercials, you should know that you don't have to. If you head on over to patreon.com/horrormovietalk, you can find lots of goodies. You can find ad-free episodes, exclusive access, early access to episodes before they release, and the Afterpod, which is a whole nother podcast that we record every single week. So go over there. We have quite a few patrons now, and I'm pretty happy about it. I think we got a couple new ones this week if you want to try to pull those up, but
yes,
or at least some upgrades.
Yeah, we can mention them directly at the end, but I think most of them have been here before.
Mm-hmm.
But
Jack
we appreciate
H.
all our patrons.
We have Beatrice, who's been there, and JDM. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, lots of cool people who we love very, very much. Head on over to horrormovietalk.com/shop, and you can find merch, you can find stickers, just lots of cool things that help support us. But mainly, if you want to support us, Patreon is the way to go. Check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram and make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you. That number to call is 682-253-4468 if you want to hear your voice on the show. So leave us a voicemail there. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Okay, so here's the deal. I didn't take very much notes on this movie, and I'll explain to you why. Because I was thinking about what you said about using my phone in the theater, and I was like, I'm still gonna use my phone in the theater, but I'll sit in the back like they told me to. So I sat in the very back, and I got there, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't see a thing. I didn't bring my glasses, which I wear my glasses kind of on and off, but I literally could not tell what was happening on the screen.
Oh my God!
I had to move.
How would moving forward change anything? It's not like it changes that much on a big screen, does it?
It's a distance thing. I can't see far away.
Oh.
So I moved way down, and I could now see, and I was pulling out my phone, getting ready to take notes, and then that Deadpool ad came on. Did you guys get that ad?
No.
Where
the phone, yeah,
where Wolverine curses at you for having your phone out in the theater, and I felt really really judged in that moment, and so I barely pulled my phone out to take notes, and so that's why there's you're gonna have to help me get through this movie because I felt judged and I felt persecuted in that theater.
Well,
how many people were in your theater?
5 at most.
Oh. Well, that doesn't matter then. I was on my phone. I was the most far back as the 3 people, including me, were in the theater because I saw this at noon yesterday. I was the furthest back from everyone, and I didn't even take notes. I was just like checking my phone because but the lady in front of me was checking her phone too. We were just like, because no one was in there. So, and it was kind of boring. So we were like,
the way the theater should be, everyone on their phones.
Yes.
All right.
Watching another movie. The only way to watch The Exorcism is to watch
like this.
Interstellar on your phone while you're watching.
Yeah.
Or watch Subway Surfers at the movie.
That was me watching No Country for Old Men just the other week ago, just scrolling through Instagram Reels.
Stop it. That's a great movie.
I'm kidding. Okay, let's get into this movie. It starts off with an actor rehearsing lines of an Exorcist movie, and he dies somehow. I didn't know what was happening.
You don't see him die. He just
no.
Well, you see his like neck basically getting crushed by an invisible force.
Yeah.
And then the lights go out.
Was goofy. He's on set alone, and he's just rehearsing his lines, and all of a sudden he just dies mysteriously. So that's kind of the premise, is that this film is haunted, and the actors, especially the actors who play the Exorcist, do not have a good time. They die usually.
Yeah.
That's the beginning.
They kind of set it up too, where like there's a lingering shot of the separate bedroom set that's on the cold set, I guess. And like I think that's all just like trying to foreshadow the end of the movie. It doesn't ever explain like why that set is supposed to be so spooky, other than that,
or why it's cold. I don't know why it's
cold.
Well,
this is my theory for why it's cold, is because when in The Exorcist, when Reagan is like, it's cold in that room, so you want to see your breath, and so it was actually physically cold in that room. On that set, so I think that's what they were trying to emulate. Was they were like, this is a cold room, so it could be like the same vibe as The Exorcist. I don't know.
I mean, really... if you watch it with the understanding is like they're making a remake of The Exorcist inside this movie, like that's kind of like all you really need to know. If you've seen The Exorcist before, you're like, okay, well, that cold room and that room reproduction is the representation of the end of the movie, and it's coming.
Okay.
And it's something.
See, I've
something
seen
spooky,
The Exorcist,
spooky-wooky
and
is
I
gonna
was
happen.
very confused about the cold room. They don't really explain it. They kind of just be like, "And this is the cold room," and everyone's like, "Wow."
They don't
Yeah, and
explain
the other
a
thing
lot.
is like when she's getting the tour. So what's her name? Let me pull up the.
Lee.
Lee is getting the tour by Blake. They stop in
Chloe
the cold room,
Bailey.
and there's like a good moment where they're kind of just, it looks like they're affected or they're creeped out by this room, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with like the hand holding not being there, where they actually say like, "Ugh, this place gives me the creeps." Like that
Sure.
line is not necessary. Like it's
I don't
fine to just have them
know.
look spooky.
There was I'm fine with that, like you not being handheld about the cold room, but like there were other scenes that like I was like someone needs to say something right now, because everyone is just like kind of like and then it's like okay, but what just fucking happened? Like how did he get possessed? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
He just one day is, and that's it, and his daughter won't call him dad, and that pisses me off. Stop calling it Tony. I'm so sick of that. Like, I was so sick of it. I was like, you're being a little bitch. Like, you're literally being a little bitch. Like,
I actually
don't,
like that
I don't
because
like
in the beginning she keeps so Lee comes home from school because she got suspended, and so they're kind of reuniting for the first time in who knows how long, and Lee does not like her dad, at least at the beginning, and so she calls him Tony. And in the beginning, he says, my name's not Tony, my name is Dad. And later on, when she keeps calling him Tony, but he's possessed now, he says, I'm not Tony. But it doesn't carry, it doesn't, to me, it like gives off a different vibe at that point.
Yeah, it's got
like,
a double meaning.
no, he's
where it's
really
like-
not Tony.
because he like
Yeah.
I'm the demon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I also
I mean, there's.
I was pissed off with Lee's actor, because that is not a 16-year-old. That was a 30-year-old fucking woman. I could tell.
She
Like
did
I could just I
not
looked at
look
her face
16.
and I said, "You look 30." I don't know if she is, so I'm sorry if I'm offending her. If she's definitely listening to this, by the way. But she looked like a 30-year-old, and also if she's hooking up with this famous actress or singer, that girl is probably way older than her. So I didn't like that either. It's like really weird.
Maybe it was a Catholic graduate school.
No, they
Not
said
a-
she was
She
16. They
She
confirmed
was
that
studying theology.
at
You
St.
know-
Agatha's or whatever.
I got the vibe that they were both 16, but I mean, it's not explicitly told that way.
Well, I know
Either
who
way,
Chloe
I don't
Bailey
wanna
is, so it's like I don't know.
I don't know. She doesn't look that old.
Well, she just doesn't look 16. I think here's the problem. This is like going into Euphoria territory where it's like, I don't care if the actors are like adults. I don't want you pretending to be kids and then showing me like scenes where you're like making out in bed. Like it just makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, she's 26 in real life.
26.
Okay, that's pretty old.
Yeah, there's a picture of her with a bag of cocaine that comes up when
Oh,
you
cool.
Google her.
But
cool.
she's only
Almost as cool as
5'6".
Bryce.
So
I'm
you know.
only 5'2".
You're 5'2"?
Little baby.
Yeah.
Little baby girl.
You're 5 feet 2 inches? Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't remember you being that short.
Yeah.
You were small.
I think I was wearing Doc Martens when I met you, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're basically a little person.
I saw you. I saw you almost say that. I saw it.
Yeah, we're pretty woke here on horror movie talk. I watch my language pretty good. Yeah, so like the relationship between the daughter and Lee is pretty believable regardless of how old she looks. Like it's very much like Lee has sabotaged his life and is in a position where he's trying
Tony
to
has
rebuild.
sabotaged his life, right?
Say again.
Please. Tony has sabotaged
Tony,
his life,
yeah,
right?
sorry. Tony has sabotaged his life and is in the process of rebuilding trust, and it's such a long road. And he's such a sad sack that throughout the movie, it's like he's just constantly beaten down, and it's revealed to him like what people think of him, and it's just confirming his worst fears. And so that's like the interesting part of the movie is him struggling internally with his own self-image and trying to build himself up while just kind of constantly failing along the way. And I'm like, this is painful to watch, but really interesting. And the possession is basically just a metaphor for that, where it's like,
Yeah.
he can't control it. He's trying to work against it, but he's like, he's possessed with both a demon and possessed with addiction. And he kind of leans into it. It leans into it the wrong way.
Well,
But
he
yeah.
also has trauma that
That's what I
is
was gonna say.
definitely being exploited by the director. So
That line, that I know exactly what you're talking about. I
It's
was
so
like, what?
brutal.
I literally said, "What the fuck?" out loud.
There's two times where the director is like, oof. Well, I mean, even at the beginning. So what happens is, like, we see the first actor killed on the set alone, and then they're obviously recasting that part, and Tony is coming in to read for it, and it's his first, like, kind of thing back, and there's a lot of stuff going against him in terms of, like, it mentions that his memory isn't as well, possibly because of a medication, possibly just because of brain damage from being an alcoholic.
He's not good at memorizing lines, which I actually thought that his audition wasn't bad. Like, he just didn't know the lines as well as he should have. But, like, his acting seemed good to me.
Yeah, so he was like, he goes into the audition. He's very, very nervous. This is a great scene. Like, this is like where Russel Crowe really shines through, as like super believable as like this beaten down guy that's super unsure of himself.
Yeah, I love the first third of this movie. It worked so well. Like, this was a really good scene. I was very drawn in at this point.
Yeah. And the director is like, telling him pause and like, just like, let's chat for a little while, which is interesting to see, like, the inner workings of Hollywood. You don't usually see this kind of scene where it's like, okay, this actor's struggling, let's like show a little empathy and like try to distract them from this spiral that they're in. And he does that and just like asks them to talk about, his experience in the Catholic Church, and has him recite mass, and he captures it, and he realizes, like, yeah, he could be really good as long as he's kind of, naturalistic and just being himself, as opposed to, trying too hard. And then throughout the movie, like, as they're trying to make this other movie, Russell Crowe is just failing all along the way and not giving this director what he wants. And every time the director is like taking him aside, and instead of like trying to find it within him and distract him and like give him confidence, he's literally just tearing him down, just being like, listen, just be you, because you are a piece of shit. You are this character. You're a failure, and everyone hates you, and like all this stuff, like, and it's like, oof. And you see just his countenance drop, and it's devastating to watch.
Well, and he also had an experience as a young boy in the Catholic Church where he was either he was
raped.
sexually
He was raped.
assaulted by
Right.
yes, he was sexually assaulted by a priest, and it apparently made the news. Like, people know about this. It
Right.
wasn't like a secret. And so the director
Well,
is
yeah, it was
also,
probably the time where that all came out. That's what I
Mhm.
assumed, because that was
Yes.
around the time that he was like probably in his 20s or something.
Mhm.
And so like all of that stuff came out. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so the director is also using this as ammunition, being like, hey, remember when that priest touched you? Use that, because that's I don't care about you. I care about that moment in your life. So
yeah, I
use that.
literally think he says like you need to use how hard that priest fucked you or something. Like it was something like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah,
that's
it
what he
was-
said when I was like, "Oh my god." Like yeah, so let's not say that. And then that makes him like I don't think he delivers a line after that. I don't think Tony delivers
He goes
a line.
Moloch mode at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like done. He's like, okay, well, now I can't. And so it's really interesting that like this washed up actor is choosing to do this role where he's a priest, and obviously there's like a priest on set for like consulting reasons, and like it instantly triggers that trauma. You see him look at the I don't know what it's called, the little priest collar thing, and he's like, and he like instantly is like freaked out by it, and he doesn't even know what like the priest is saying to him.
My eyes are up
And-
here.
Yeah, exactly. And like throughout the whole thing, he's having these flashes of this trauma. He's also seeming like he's drinking and on drugs again, even though he's not, because he's just spiraling because of the trauma. But everyone thinks it's just because he's a drunk, and like I don't know. I'm glad that they didn't like fully show obviously like what happened to him. But I think there were too many flashes to it, because I think after like once or twice, like you understood what happened to him. They explained it a few times, and it's like, okay, like we get the emphasis, we understand, but they keep talking about it, and Tony doesn't talk about it, so it's like,
Yeah, I mean they show it. They show flashbacks, and like it progressively gets more detailed to the point where it's like pretty aggressive, like the priest shoving things in his mouth. Like I expected the last flashback would be just like a hard cock just shoved into his mouth,
Jeez.
because it was like leading up to that. You're like, Jesus,
ah!
enough. We've seen enough.
Ah!
But yeah, I mean it probably does flashback once or twice too many, and it doesn't feel like it was a huge payoff like for that, but it's all just the flavor of like, yeah, this is an important piece of trauma that informs how he's reacting to acting as a priest and being around a priest and being possessed by a demon.
Like maybe he chose this role because he thought it was going to help him work through that trauma, and that's not what happened. It just like re-traumatized him. So like, I don't know. I think Tony just needed to go to some therapy and probably not continue acting and just work on his relationship with his daughter, and that probably would have been fine, and he probably would have been better.
And his relationship with his daughter improves over the movie dramatically.
Yeah, it
like,
definitely
they
does.
seem to like become friends. She's showing him a lot of empathy around the middle of the movie, and there's some real love there by the end. But can we talk about these sleepwalking scenes? Because there's like two semi-interesting sleepwalking scenes that the first one is just a regular sleepwalking scene. Like nothing that out of the ordinary happens, except for when Lee like touches him on the shoulder to wake him up. There's like this flash on the screen and this really loud noise, like the loudest noise in the whole movie, and it happened so quick that I had no idea what happened.
I think
because
there
it
was something there, but I
It showed like
couldn't
an image.
see it. Yeah, I didn't know what it was because it was too fast.
It was probably like Moloch or something like that.
Yeah, but like, come on, if you're gonna like show something, like, I can't pause this right now and look at what it is. Like, I can't. I'm not at home, so yeah.
See, now you can't even do that with streaming either. You can't go frame by frame in streaming.
It's 10
That's kinda annoying.
seconds usually.
Goes back to, we need DVDs again. We need physical media.
I know, it's so sad.
I'm
All
so
right,
pissed
oldie.
off that Amazon Prime now has ads. What bullshit is this?
Yeah,
what the
like I'm
fuck?
paying for this. What is that about? Everything has fucking ads now. I'm on AMC Plus and I have to watch an ad before an episode of Mad Men. I'm like, just play the episode, please. I don't know why.
Yeah. Anyways, so the other scene that you're talking about is when he leaves the apartment and starts walking down the stairs.
Yes.
But you want to hear the best part about this scene is that my dad has those exact same slides, but in red, like the one that's on the Adidas slide that I have because I took them from and I wear them even though they're too big. But I looked at that slide and I said, I literally don't know if I can finish watching this movie. Ha ha ha. But I did. Okay, keep going.
So he goes down the stairs and Lee follows him, and this is one of those scenes where it's like, it's just so drawn out and uninteresting. Lights flicker on and off, and she's following him, and he's muttering things in Latin, and then finally gets downstairs, and she finds him completely naked, facing away and pissing in the middle of the room or on the wall, which is great. Like, it's super effective, and it is a callback to the original Exorcist. It's like, yeah, this is just what demons do. They like pissing at the bottom of stairs.
Pee-pee time.
That's true. Yeah, that I do like that part, just because it's like so like what is happening, but
and you have the tension of like, please God, don't have the dad turn around completely naked towards the daughter.
Well, she
that
had to help him up the stairs, right? Or wait, no, he runs past her, doesn't he?
He
disappeared and reappears right in front of her. And it's like,
You're
okay,
right.
that's better.
So no daddy
no
penis.
dong issues.
I think like the thing is that she's not like really scared of anything that happens until she like fully knows that he is possessed, because he had this drinking and drug problem, so he probably did this shit all the time. Like that probably wasn't even in a regular occurrence. She's just kind of creeping down the stairs because the lights are off and she can't see anything, and she dropped her phone so she can't use her flashlight, so she's just like, Tony, come on, like get the fuck up the stairs. And like obviously she gets a little spooked, but like she's not really thinking that anything is really wrong. She just doesn't think he's taking his medication at this point. And like obviously it gets more intense like once that scene on set happens where he bends backwards. Then she's kind of like, okay, well, this is not normal.
Also smacks his head on the table like over and over.
No
really
blood
hard.
no blood there. I noticed
Well,
that.
he's got demon powers.
Molech mode.
And yeah, I just realized, like, wouldn't it be great if they cast Tony with Tony Danza instead of Russell Crowe? That would have been a very different movie.
Would have been weird as hell.
And then renamed the girl to be Samantha, just so he keeps saying Samantha. Anyways, you guys are too young for Tony
means.
Danza
I
references.
have no idea what you're talking about. I think Russell Crowe should just play himself.
I know, it would be so fun. I don't know. I wonder what his like mode for like these exorcism movies is. He's just like, I want to have some fun, which is like great. Which is great.
I think it's fun. I think in terms of like being an actor, like I could see why this movie interested him. Like the script was very interesting for like an actor because it touches on fame and like exploitation and like the dynamic between directors and actors and like and the addiction stuff. There's a lot of like fun stuff. I could see like why this would be an interesting one just for the acting perspective of it and the script. The Pope's Exorcist felt more like this is just a fun movie and I want to have fun with it.
The Pope's Exorcist was good. Like I liked that movie. Like I really enjoyed. Like it's more fun. It's cookie cutter, but it's like more fun, and there's more like funny things that you can actually laugh at. Like there wasn't really any funny things in this movie at all. Yeah. Like
the Pope's Exorcist was more of like an action movie than a horror movie.
I don't know. I think some of the things the director says is very funny.
He was the best character,
Yeah.
like entertainment wise. The priest was mad creepy. The guy who played
David
the
Hyde
priest.
Pierce.
I
I thought he was good. What was
I thought
creepy
he
about
seemed,
him?
yeah, I thought he just seemed like a really nice, genuine
I don't know.
person.
I didn't.
Well, I
I
mean,
just didn't like him.
Tell us about your trauma
Priest-
around priests, Sydney.
I don't have any
Priests in
trauma. I'm not
general
I wasn't a little boy, so I don't have any trauma, and I was never an altar person, and I never did any of that stuff. We had a priest, Father Sullivan. He was like the head priest for the church that the school that I went to.
oh my God, you live in Massachusetts. That was like
Yeah.
literally spotlight.
But Father Sullivan he was great. He was awesome. He was kind of young, and he was a good priest. But then he just like dramatically left the priesthood, and it was rumored that he like slept with one of the wives of like someone, like there was
Oh, well,
an
that's good.
adultery situation going on. So he left the priesthood very suddenly, and then we got another priest, and he was a little weird, but I think he was probably just gay. But
Fair.
then I went to high school, and our priest in high school was like the oldest man alive, and he was amazing. He was such a good guy. So
Yeah.
so not much trauma, just like religious trauma. Just
Well, what about David Hyde? What about the Father Connor character was creepy?
I think I was
you?
probably like playing off of the Tony character, thinking that he was creepy because Tony was so affected by it.
Yeah.
And like had like every time he saw the priest, he would have those like flashbacks to like all of the trauma that he endured from a different priest. So I don't know. I think it was just something in his demeanor was like a little creepy. But once he like helped the daughter and was like, I'm going to be there for you. Like that was like, I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Like, I'm glad.
He is very like genuine, and like he seems like the kind of guy who just like loves people regardless of like where they're at on their faith journey, which was like actually kind of refreshing to see in a movie. I feel like, I mean, this movie still has a lot of like priest touching little boys, but it's refreshing to see like the other side of like, yeah, there are good people still.
Let's skip towards not to the very end, but towards the end. Like it devolves really heavily. Tony gets fired from the movie, and they recast it with Sam Worthington's character, and who promptly gets killed by a demon. But
the only death we see, the only death we really like graphic we see,
and then there's like a full-on possession. This is like one of the scenes that like I really thought was great, because I've said before, like one of the reasons why The Exorcist stands out is like it's still super shocking. Like it still stands the test of time. It's like, you know what? Seeing a little girl masturbate with a crucifix and like say, fuck me in my pussy kind of stuff is like, I'm sorry that like I can't be, even my cold dead heart can't like not be shocked by that whenever I see it. And this movie has one of those moments where Russell Crowe.
I hated this so much. I was like, I want to leave.
Wait, why do I feel like I don't know what you're talking about?
Because Russell Crowe is possessed, and he sees Lee and Blake making out on her bed. And then
wait, no, I remember.
My
he
father is
confronts her.
ailing and sick, and I'm going to fucking have lesbian sex with this pop star
In the room next
in
door.
the room next to him. Cool.
Yeah. And then I don't remember the exact line, what it was, but in essence it was like,
I do.
What was the exact line, Sydney?
It was so then he starts being like possessed and stuff, and his daughter is like, Dad, or Tony, stop, whatever. And he was like, I can eat your pussy better than she would.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it was.
I feel like I didn't hear that.
Well, good, because it was so awful. Like, it was so crazy. And then he like starts like, coming towards her, and you're like, no, 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 no. And then, I don't know what happens. I forgot, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you're going to have a movie about pure evil, like, let's go hard into the paint, Let's talk about,
Yeah.
So disturbing shit.
But but the thing is that it felt really out of place because he wasn't really saying anything like that then or again, because the rest of the stuff he says when they actually do like the quote unquote exorcism of him, like he's very articulate and like I don't know, not like what a typical exorcism kind of thing is. It's
the
just
exorcism
that one
is just
line.
so odd. There's so many
weird.
odd things about that. So he jumps out of a window, right, and disappears. Which
this part was genuinely confusing because he jumps out of the window, and then she looks down, and it's implied that he died.
Yeah, I thought he died.
And
then the police are there, and there's like an ambulance.
And then like the priest says something about what did he say about the spirit and body, like.
The soul and the body are separate but together, but they're separate because he's possessed. I don't know.
Yeah,
I really was confused.
Yeah, it was implied. I thought it was still heavily implying that he died, but then he just comes back.
She says, can he still be saved? Which, in my mind, calls back to, like, the old thinking of, like, if you kill yourself, you can't be saved. Which is when he jumps out the window. So it's like, yeah, she's asking, can he still be saved? And he's like, yes, I believe so. Which,
this is one of those things where I'm okay with it because it's like in the sense that I feel like the director or the writers are like just like, fuck it. Let's just fuck with the audience here.
That's kind of, yeah.
And because he reappears and you're like, oh, he's alive.
Don't they just go back to the movie set for some reason? Why did they do that?
He says, do you know where he is? And she's like, I think I do. And I'm like, wait, is he not just splattered on the ground next to you? Like, that's what I thought.
No, he's gone.
But apparently, no, he's gone. And she knows that he's in the cold room because it was spooky earlier.
Yeah.
Well, because there was
that might have been where there was a scene missing. That I bet like what happened originally in the script was he jumps out, lands on the ground, survives, is taken away by an amber lamps, and then escapes the hospital. That must be like what happened.
Maybe, but also, I mean, I think there was just scenes cut out earlier, like before he got possessed or like while he was getting in the process of getting more and more possessed. That's when I thought there were scenes cut out because it seemed very like choppy. Like it reminded me of The Snowman where you have no idea what's going on because they cut like 20 scenes out of that movie, and that's like one of the funniest movies of all time because you're like, what the fuck happened? But I think she knew that he was in the cold room because the last time he was in the cold room was when they were still filming the movie and he couldn't get his lines right and he was like trying not to vomit, and that's when the director said like the thing about the priest to him. And that was, and so maybe that was, she was like, oh, that's probably where he is. I don't know.
He wants to finish the movie.
He does.
He needs to finish it.
You know what I wanted to happen?
Over there with the priest.
I wanted to happen. This is what I wanted so bad, and this would have made it like a 6 or 7 out of 10 to me, was after the exorcism quote unquote scene that they do, that the director yells cut, and then that was part of the movie. That would have been so fun.
Boo.
That would have been fun. It would have been like Inland Empire, because Inland Empire is like they're making a cursed movie and it's all fucked up and weird, and then at the end when you think she dies, they're like cut.
Okay, spoilers, first of all.
Spoilers for Inland Empire.
Inland Empire is a movie that makes absolutely no sense for 3 hours. So
yeah, it's a David Lynch movie.
Yeah, and it's a great movie that I have on DVD that I bought from the Criterion Collection sale. Okay.
I think that kind of ending would have been a little try hard after all that we've seen.
I would have
like
loved
after the whole movie, I would have been like, okay.
I like how unresolved they leave everything in this movie. Like nothing. I mean, it's like a character study movie, and like they don't resolve Tony's character at all. Like, it's just like, nope, he's fucked. Like, this sucks. It doesn't show him like acting in the movie. It doesn't show the movie coming out. It doesn't show any kind of redemption. Like, I'd say the one
redeeming element is that him and his daughter have a better relationship at the end.
And it's all, and time has passed because her hair is long and brown now, and she's smoking a cigarette on the beach.
So she's an adult.
But yeah, I didn't like the denouement.
Teens
like
don't
I was not happy with how that happened. I was like, I didn't need this. They could have ended with the exorcism and then fucking ended the movie.
Let's talk about the exorcism, because this was probably my. I liked elements of it, but I was so confused why in a movie called The Exorcism they don't do just like a exorcism. That's not what happens.
You're being so nitpicky. Like,
okay,
like,
this
are
is
you
what
Catholic? Does it really matter if they read the exact right?
I would have
They
enjoyed
don't do anything. They do this. Okay, I need to.
He
stop,
reads
Bryce.
the script.
Stop.
He recites the script.
He recites the
from
script
the movie.
The script, yes, and the one good thing about that is earlier in the movie he was like, can you believe this script? It's so bad. But then it's what saves him in the end. But so they get there and the priest decides that he will take the place of Tony, which I don't really know why. I guess.
So Tony can get over his unresolved trauma by killing the priest demon.
Well,
I mean, he died
it's
for
also
that.
a callback to The Exorcist. Like, that is how The Exorcist ends.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the same impact here.
No.
Like, it feels just kind of like, okay, so now the priest is possessed. And so what Tony does is he pulls out a crucifix and burns him with it. So
No, he
Well, he
stabs
does a little
him.
more than that.
He stabs him in the fucking
No.
head.
skull.
well, first he burns him with it. Later he gets stabs. So he burns the demon on the forehead.
Tony gets the crucifix placed on his forehead, and he gets,
you're right. Okay. Well,
and then when the priest takes his place, then he like full on just stabs him in the head with the crucifix, instantly bursts into flame, and then like guts him with it or something, which is pretty wild when you're saying it now, like how wild that is as an ending.
But the exorcism part is him just saying, pray, like he's asking saints to pray for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, that's how Catholicism works. You don't actually pray to God. Like, he's got a lot of stuff to do. You've got to
Like when you lose something, you pray to Saint Anthony. Like that's what you do.
He delegates.
Sure.
He delegates the handling. He delegates the switchboard of heaven to the lesser saints. And just Russell Crowe was calling on all of them. He was just lighting that switchboard up.
He literally calls on every
Saint
single one.
Augustine,
Like,
Saint Teresa, Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel, Saint Mother, whatever. I don't know. Like, I stopped myself there. But no, the funny part about this to me, when he burst into flames, I was laughing. But like at the beginning of the scene when they just get to the set, like they figure out that he's in the cold room. It's Lee and Blake. And then, like, the lights go out, and then, like, Blake is gone. And Lee's like, Blake? And then she gets in the room, and the priest and Blake are like this. Like, oh, that was funny. Like, why? Like, what? And I just thought, like, I like Chloe Bailey as, like, a singer. But her acting in this movie was, like, pretty not good, in my opinion.
Is she actually a singer?
Yeah. The Chloe and Hallie, they're sisters.
And
they sang, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's the
I
movie.
just know her from A Wrinkle in Time. Oh, wait, she was on the soundtrack. I thought she was the actor in A Wrinkle in Time. Is she not?
She was in
So
Grownish,
confused.
too, which was like a sitcom that I watched for like
I don't know who any of these people are.
Cool.
But yeah, that's. I think we've covered it all. That's the movie.
That's the movie. Well, you can just agree to disagree. I had a fun time. I thought it was a good movie.
If anything,
It's messy. Like I'll admit, it's messy,
Yeah.
and there's stuff that's like not great. But overall, like I had a real fun time in the movie. The only time I was bored and unengaged was like the trope, walking through a dark hallway scenes, which they leaned on a little too much. But other than that, I don't have any complaints. Like
you
all
had
of the
such a good time that you couldn't be bothered to press the brakes when you saw that red light. You just
it's even
were
worse
like,
than
I
that.
have to
It's
keep going.
It's
I'm having
even
so
worse
much
than
fun.
that. I was stopped, and then went through the red light.
Oh,
nice.
Because it was at an on ramp, like a big on ramp,
mhm.
and I was stopped in the lanes that go straight, and then there was 2 left-hand turn lanes that go onto the freeway. And I was stopped. I was distracted. We don't have to go into any detail about why I was distracted. And then the lights changed. Saw green out of my peripheral, hit the gas, and then realized as I was going through the intersection, oh, my light was still red. It was the left-hand turn lanes that were green.
They get you.
And
They really do.
almost got in a wreck and got immediately pulled over. So
Well, at least you're safe.
Yes. I'm glad that you didn't get in that wreck. You know what? Driving can be confusing, especially when you get to be, a little older. So,
you know what? Fuck you, Max.
okay. Who would
I'm
like
gonna
this
talk
movie?
with David. We'll see if your tenure at Horror Movie Talk will be extended.
I think that if anything about this review being like, I feel like the way we talked about this movie was very disjointed, and that's just because that's the way the movie is. It's very disjointed. Yeah. So like it's hard to just like it's, I think it seemed like we were bouncing around a lot, but we weren't. The movie bounces around a lot, and that's just how the story is told. And I would not see this in theaters because I was definitely bored at times. I would probably wait for it to be on streaming. If you like Russel Crowe, he's really good in it, but there is some acting that's kind of lacking, and I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this like super widely, but if you're trying to just like watch an exorcism movie that's not exactly like how every other exorcism movie is, then I guess you could watch it.
I mean, I'd recommend it for everyone. I would say people go see it in the theaters. Like, it's worth it. I mean, what else is out right now? The Bike Riders. You're gonna see The Bike Riders.
Kinds of Kindness came out yesterday. I'm gonna see that this week.
No, it was limited release.
Well, it's probably I have a bunch of like indie theaters near me that probably have it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, calm down.
But yeah, I mean, I'd still recommend it. I liked it. If you like The Pope's Exorcist, like you'll like this one. It's a different movie, but it's still Russel Crowe doing a good job.
I would say that it's gonna be on streaming relatively soon. Like, I couldn't imagine they keep it in theaters for long, and then it'll be on something probably for free. So I would just wait a few weeks and see what happens. All right. Do you guys want to play this little game?
Yeah.
Sure. What are we calling it?
It's what did I title it up here?
Rotten versus Fresh Exorcisms.
Yes. I haven't seen half the movies on this list, maybe over half. So if you guys have seen the movies, you might have an edge. So basically how we're gonna score this is you have to buzz in, and the first person to buzz in can give me their answer first. If they're wrong, we'll go to the next person.
Okay.
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 Here, let's see. I think I might have a theme song for it.
Oh. Little.
Driving through the city, lights out on the coast. Neon signs are flickering, putting on a show. The night is electric, the energy's so high. I'm flying through the street.
Sorry, wrong one.
fresh delight in its exorcism fight. Phantoms creeping through the halls, hear the eerie ghostly calls. Fresh spirits standing tall, rotten ones begin to fall. Rotten versus fresh, battle in the dark. Spirits clash and spark till we leave our mark.
All right.
All right, that's as best we're gonna get. Okay, are you ready for the first one? Now this one has a subtle difference,
Okay.
so be mindful of it. So what has a higher percentage on Rotten Tomatoes? The Last Exorcism or The Last Exorcist?
Bryce.
Sydney?
I thought we were buzzing, so I was
Oh,
gonna make.
sorry.
I was making a buzz.
Yeah, you have to make a buzzing sound.
All right.
I'm gonna say The Last Exorcism has a higher score.
It does.
Yes.
The Last Exorcism has a 71, actually, which is higher than I expected it to be. And The Last Exorcist is not rated. It has a 0%.
Awesome.
That was a little tricky one.
Okay.
They won't all be that way. Okay, next up we have The Exorcism of God or The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Bruh.
Bryce?
The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Sydney?
I was wrong?
You were wrong. So, Sydney, do you want to make a guess?
I don't know. I don't. That's so hard. I think I'm gonna say the Last Exorcism of God or the Exorcism. What did you say? I've never heard of that movie.
The Exorcism of God. Okay, but since I basically gave you the answer, you have to get within 10 points of it to get the point. 10 percentage.
Okay. Well, the Exorcism of Emily Rose is pretty good, so I'm gonna say that score is like not bad. So I'll give it like a 82.
Nope. Neither of you got the point on that one. The Exorcism of God has the higher score of 57. The Exorcism of Emily Rose only has a 45.
I liked that movie. Huh. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe it sucks.
All right.
Okay.
Next, we have The Exorcism of Molly Hartley or Amityville Exorcism.
Oh.
Bryce?
The first one.
Sydney?
God damn it.
The second one.
Wait, hold on. Wait. No, Bryce was right. Bryce was right. It was
Yay!
the first one. Yay. The Exorcism of Molly Hartley has a 22%, and Amityville Exorcism has a 12%.
I have never heard of either of those.
I haven't either. Okay, so Bryce has 1 point. Sydney has 1 point.
Okay.
So I have 2 more here for you.
Yay.
Godless, The Eastfield Exorcism, or The Possession of Hannah Grace. Sydney,
Hannah Grace.
let's find out. No.
The other one.
Godless, The Eastfield Exorcism does have a higher score. Can you guess within 10 points of the score?
I'm going to say 27%.
Godless, The Eastfield Exorcism has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
What is this?
That
Godless?
I've never heard of that. Is that an actual movie or is that like a straight to streaming?
I don't know. I looked it up and it came up and I clicked on it and it said 85%. I'm
2023.
pretty sure some of these only have like 5 reviews though.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right.
All right,
Moving on.
so you're still tied. Let's get this tiebreaker, okay?
All right.
This one also has a subtle difference. So and it's it's a tricky one, so you really got to think about it. The Exorcist Believer or The Exorcist?
Pretty sure it's The Exorcist.
Yes, it is The Exorcist.
Yes.
Max, that's
Exorcist
crazy.
Believer has a 22. The Exorcist has a 78.
Max, that's actually
So-
crazy.
22 is
that.
generous on
Bryce
Exorcist
wins.
Believer.
Should be a 4.
Uh,
Good game.
Good game, good game.
Alrighty, guys. That is the episode. This episode was produced by me and will be edited by me. Thank you for listening. We already thanked our new patrons, but again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy that exclusive content. And yeah, that's all we got for you. The number to call if you want to be on the show is 682-253-4468. And let's outro this thing.
Woo! Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good day, sir. Good day, sir. You lose. You get nothing.
Is that me? Yes, it is.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face.
Horror!
Wow, that didn't sound good.